So right now, Aaron Rodgers has still not signed with a new NFL team. And the most recent news we have here, this is from Mike Florio, who says, nobody knows at this point. It's widely believed to be a two-team race between the Steelers and Giants. If Rodgers' goal is to cap his career in the postseason, it shouldn't be a question. As of Tuesday, it became obvious that the sticking point for Rodgers and the Steelers is money. They need each other. The Gap suggests Rodgers believes the Steelers need Rodgers more than Rodgers needs the Steelers, and the Steelers believe Rodgers needs the Steelers more than the Steelers need Rodgers. So I still would say at this point, the Steelers seem like the most likely destination. But Brett Favre had some thoughts on this, and he was on Fox News with Will Cain and discussed Rodgers and the Vikings, because that has been a topic of discussion as well. I haven't seen any reports that say the Vikings are interested, even though I think that if you were the Vikings, this would be a smart move in my opinion. I'll give more of my thoughts in a second, but here's what Brett Favre said regarding Rodgers and the Vikings. By all means, sign with him. They got a really good football team. They're loaded at pretty much every position. They made it to the playoffs last year. They got a tremendous fan base, much like the Packers. If you get the opportunity, that's a good place to win. Of course, you got to play the Packers then. Love-hate relationship at its best. That's what makes it such a great rivalry. I got to see it from both sides. It made me appreciate both sides even more. If he gets an opportunity, why not? So as a Packers fan, I really don't want Brett Favre encouraging this. There's not many things that would hurt as much as having to watch Brett Favre in a Vikings jersey and Aaron Rodgers in a Vikings jersey. At the same time, it would honestly be hysterical if Rodgers finishes his career exactly like Brett Favre, Packers to Jets, then to Vikings, even though I do not want to see it. I do not want to see it happen. However, thinking from the Vikings perspective, of course, Sam Darnold has moved on, and it looks like J.J. McCarthy is going to be the guy. But if I were the Vikings, I would sign Aaron Rodgers to a one-year deal because J.J. McCarthy is clearly your future. But I just think with the offense that you have in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, I feel like Kevin O'Connell in the back of his mind has to be thinking, what if I just had Rodgers for 1 year? Maybe he's not as good as he used to be, but he's still Aaron Rodgers, and I think Rodgers in that Kevin O'Connell offense would honestly be much better than he was with the Jets last season. So if I'm the Vikings, I would sign Rodgers to a 1-year deal, see what happens, and then you can move on to J.J. McCarthy. Because with J.J. McCarthy, there's uncertainty. I could see if they don't want to bring in Rodgers, but I think if you're the Vikings, it makes sense. And if I'm Rodgers and I'm solely focused on winning, I would probably pick the Vikings over the Steelers, just because of, I think, the offense they have there with Kevin O'Connell. It's a better case for Rodgers. Now, the real question is, would Rodgers actually do that? Does he really want to follow Brett Favre exactly? Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe he's fine with doing it if it's his best place to win. But as I said, as a Packers fan, I really hope we don't see this. I do think it's Rodgers' best chance to win a Super Bowl, just because I think that he could bounce back a little more. And if we look at Brett Favre, when he went from the Jets to Minnesota, he was really bad with the Jets. 22 touchdowns to 22 interceptions in that year. He goes to the Vikings. He has 33 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, goes to the NFC Championship and falls short, almost making it to a Super Bowl. So I think that Rodgers could bounce back. Maybe not quite like Brett Favre did, but Rodgers he wasn't that bad with the Jets. It wasn't great. I'd say he was pretty average, which for Rodgers is, out of the norm. But I think Rodgers could really bounce back with the Minnesota Vikings, even though I really do not want to see this. So I'm curious if that's why things are slowing down. Are the Vikings interested at all? This will be something to watch today in the next few days to see what Rodgers decides. But if you want more Packers content, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.